Hello, everyone. This is Lindsay Kline, the host of the By the Books podcast and founder of Great Bookkeepers Wanted, empowering bookkeepers and the businesses that need them. I'm sitting here on my couch tonight watching The Amazing Race. And this season has really fascinated me because the team that keeps winning first place over and over and over is by no means the physically strongest team. They have teams they're going up against that are much more athletic and much more able to win a foot race than these guys are. But they keep winning. And so I've been watching with fascination, trying to figure out what is the secret sauce here that's causing these guys to win. Well, I think I might have figured it out. They, I think, are mentally stronger, which seems to go a lot further. I've noticed they don't turn on each other, which a lot of teams do. As soon as things start going wrong or get hard, a lot of teams will turn on each other and start bickering and blaming each other and complaining. And these guys don't do that. The second thing I've noticed is they don't spend mental, emotional energy on things that don't serve them. They are facing the same challenges as every other team, and it just seems like all their mental, emotional energy goes into problem solving those challenges. They just figure it out. They don't waste time stressing over it. They don't waste time on worrying about it. They just get to work. It's really interesting. And as I think about it and watch other teams, how they interact with each other and how they interact with the challenges they're facing, the mentally strong teams are the ones that do far better than those that might be physically stronger but mentally fall apart. It's very interesting. It got me thinking about a lot of things in general. And one of these things that I've really been trying to do lately, last 2 or 3 years, is to watch the way I talk to myself about myself, to myself and about myself. Particularly, I am being very careful about the words that come after I am, which is an identity statement. And also you are. That's identity over someone else. I'm being very careful about that. Even in seemingly small things like I am tired, I am bored, I am lazy, I am insert whatever here. Those are identity statements. I am broke. Okay, what if we change the way we talk about ourselves and our identity? Now I'm trying to get in the habit of, instead of saying those things, say, I feel tired. That's very different. I am tired is very different from I feel tired. One is identity. One is how you feel. Those are two different things. I've been conscientious of how I might be putting up energetic resistance to things. For example, I read a book about how money is actually energy and how we either attract it or repel it by how we energetically interact with it. Now, you may or may not believe that, but it's an interesting idea to ponder. And it's caused me to pay a lot more attention to, okay, how am I energetically interacting with anything, including myself? Pay attention to this. Just as an experiment like I did. Just be more conscious of how am I energetically feeling about anything that comes at you throughout your day, including your own thoughts. It's fascinating when you start paying close attention to this. There were things I realized that mentally I wanted, even verbally I would talk about wanting them, but energetically I was putting up a hard stop. And I'll give you an example. Imposter syndrome. A lot of people have imposter syndrome where there is something they really want. And let's just take bookkeeping, for example. There may be a client that you really want, and you're meeting with the client, you're selling yourself, all the things, right, to get this client. But energetically, you may be having that imposter syndrome, thinking that you are not qualified for this, that you don't have what it takes for this. That's an energetic resistance that you're putting up against that client, against getting that client. So, one thing I learned recently about the way sound travels, it's kind of interesting. Sound travels by one atom hitting another atom, hitting another atom, hitting another atom, all across the universe. Maybe for eternity, who knows? So, arguably, I haven't researched this, but I would assume our thoughts are doing the same thing. Our thoughts are creating something that's reverberating all the way across the universe. And certainly within our own bodies, it's creating something. And there's a lot of science about that, about how our thoughts affect what's going on in our body. So shouldn't we be creating something that's serving us versus tearing us down? So going back to the I am statement, what if we started using the power of I am for things that build us up and propel us rather than tear us down? What if we started being conscientious of the way we speak to ourselves and be kind to ourselves? Would you say to someone else the things that you say to yourself? Would you let your child say the things you say to yourself to another child? Think about that. Think about the things you say to yourself and imagine it coming out of your child's mouth to another child. Would you let that fly? Would it be something that you would immediately tell them, that's not nice, you don't say that to someone? If so, why is it okay for you to say it to yourself? Why are you less valuable? Why are you less important than that other person? I would argue you're not. In fact, I would argue your identity is perfect and cannot be improved upon. Did you feel energetic resistance to that idea? If you did, dig into that. Why? Why do you think your identity is not perfect? Why do you think your identity cannot be improved upon? Why? That's something to dig into. I would argue who you are is completely separate from what you do, from what you say, from what you think. Who you are is completely, wholly perfect. You are a unique facet of creation. However you believe we were created, you were created as a unique facet that cannot be replicated. There is a reason why life is priceless. It's because you cannot be duplicated. You are one of a kind. And I would argue, completely perfect in who you are. There's what you do. There's what you feel. You can change the way you feel, change the way you think, change what you do. You can change your behavior. All those things you can change. But your identity, who you are at your core, it can't be changed and it can't be improved upon. It is already completely perfect. And if you feel energetic resistance to that idea, that is definitely something to dig into. Because if you don't believe that your identity is wholly and completely perfect, then that is the core of why you cannot accept yourself. And it's causing you to sabotage yourself in subtle and not so subtle ways. Separate who you are from what you do. And I don't care what you've done. I literally don't care what you've done. Your identity is perfect, no matter what you've done, because what you've done is separate from who you are. I'll give you an example from The Lion King. I love The Lion King. There's so many nuggets, analogies that I use from The Lion King. So, in the story of The Lion King, you have this son, Simba. His dad dies, and he blames himself. Now, certainly the uncle had a lot to do with that, because the uncle planted those seeds that it was his fault that his dad died. But regardless of whether those thoughts came from himself or from his uncle, he believed them. He believed he was the reason his dad died. And he was full of guilt, he was full of shame, and he ran away. He ran away and tried to forget, right? The Hakuna Matata, just tried to forget it all. Didn't think about it, completely abandoned his role as king because he was so full of guilt and shame, he ran away. Did his identity change? Never. He was king every day after his dad died. Right? Prince before that, king after his dad died. That never changed. His identity as king never changed. Think about that. That was his identity, was king. That was his place. He walked away from it. He didn't accept it. He tried to forget it. He was full of guilt and shame and all kinds of internal turmoil, but it never changed. His failure to accept it, his failure to live it out, did not change who he was. Now, when he was finally able to work through all that, to get through all the shame and step up into his place, then he was able actually to live out being a king. But it never changed. His role never changed. His identity never changed. He was always the king. And the same is true for you. Whether you believe it, whether you live it out, you are wholly and completely perfect in your identity. You may let fear, shame, guilt, internal narratives, all the things cause you to live in Hakuna Matata land and not fulfill your highest potential. But your highest potential is still there waiting for you, and it hasn't changed. Your identity has never changed. Who you are has never changed and never will. It's only a matter of, can you get through all the junk that's causing you to walk away from your highest potential and not live in it? That's the only difference. It's you. So, just try it as an experiment. Try believing that you are wholly and completely perfect in who you are, and change the way you talk to yourself and about yourself. Just see. Try it as an experiment. You can always go back to believing how crappy you are. You can always go back to that. Just try it as an experiment and see what happens. If it doesn't work, let me know. Let me know. If nothing changes for you, nothing improves for you, let me know. We'll talk. Until next time, I am Lindsay Kline. I'm host of the By the Books podcast and founder of Great Bookkeepers Wanted, empowering bookkeepers and the businesses that need them.